These are the people, the movers and the shakers, the businesses, the people you know in your community who make Pittsburgh work. This is Pittsburgh Works on the voice of Pittsburgh. News Radio 1020 KDKA.
Carla Donnelly is here. She's an incredible attorney of law, and when it comes to divorce, she knows the law. And those waters can be very difficult to navigate at times, but Nan Cohen is a great navigator, and some of the people that work with her, as she is a divorce reality expert, make it so much more easier to get a very difficult job done. And I know if you have any questions out there and you'd like to call and talk to Carla or Nan, the number is 866-391-1020, Dollar Bank Instant Access, KDK.com. And now here she is, your host, divorce reality expert. I've never been the expert in anything, so it's nice to have an expert on the program, Nan Cohen. Good afternoon.
Can you repeat that one more time?
No, please.
Backtrack on that one.
No.
Backtrack on that one.
You know, I'm kind of like breakfast now, toast.
Toast?
It's been a long day.
Well, I'm going to liven you up in the studio very shortly.
All right.
We've got some special treats for you. You know, it's funny. Talking about divorce, I put up, I think you hit up on social media as well. Carla's in the house with me today, but divorce. And then all of a sudden I got inundated with all of these questions. It's like, I have everything from rules and laws and do I do this and do I do that? And I'm like, I just got to take a break. I had to walk away. And I'm thinking, okay, I got it all on my phone for you. So you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, let's move you in a little bit closer to that mic. And let's tell everybody where you're from. We work a lot together.
Well, I'm from the law firm of Gentile, Horoho, and Avali. We're in downtown and Cranberry.
And I might say that's a very nice part of town, too, I might add.
You like it up there in Cranberry, don't you?
I love Cranberry.
I knew you were going to stop on that for a minute.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't stop.
We stopped a lot of times when I was up there in my earlier years, huh, Robbie?
Okay, let's get back to Carla.
But you go both places, downtown and Cranberry.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the clients love the Cranberry office because the parking is free.
Yeah, that's a big thing coming downtown anymore, yep. I'll tell you. Or you have to have friends in parking lots is what I always say when I'm heading down there. But you're originally from, I get this all the time, New York.
Correct.
To Atlanta.
Correct.
And then we're blessed here in Pittsburgh.
Absolutely.
So take us a little bit about the history and how you got into family law.
Well, I went to Emory Law School after going to Lehigh University in Bethlehem, PA. And so that took me down to Atlanta. And when I graduated, I found this amazing law firm in Atlanta to practice with, Stern and Edlin. They're, I would say, the top family law firm in Atlanta, and worked there for 12 years. But my husband and I, after we had our daughter, decided we needed to move closer to family, married a guy from Pennsylvania. And so we pulled up shop and moved to Pittsburgh. And I was so fortunate, because I had come from such a great firm in Atlanta, to find the equivalent here in Pittsburgh.
So I just want to say I was totally off on my earpiece there. But when you got to Pittsburgh, you're thinking, I'm home now, huh?
I love it here.
It's welcome home, because it's interesting. Once we get you here, we don't let you go. You know that.
I'm never leaving. So it works out perfectly.
And I actually was asked through Messenger on Facebook, you go to the counties, surrounding counties.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a big question for people now.
We go as far as, Center, Cambria, Clearfield. I've had a case as north as Erie. Do quite a bit in Mercer and Lawrence. Butler is pretty much the same as Allegheny County. We're in Cranberry,
yeah.
So we go to Washington, Westmoreland.
Yeah.
So wherever the client needs.
People always think because they're out of Allegheny County, they're out of touch. And that's where I always say, no, the attorneys I work with, they go all over the place. So that's just part of the routine. So I wanted to get that out. It's funny when working with you, one of the bonuses for me is you're always about, if we can find a way and never enter a courtroom, you like that.
Absolutely. That's the best way to do it.
Okay. Because I wanted to pull that out of you because
But does that happen that often?
Well, we've got proof.
It does.
Right?
That means because you're good at what you do.
We've got history, so
okay, good.
We can prove that on.
I've had clients that have never seen the inside of the courthouse, and they're divorced.
Yeah, and I think that people don't understand that, divorce, I say this all the time. I do not promote divorce ever, but it's inevitable in certain situations. It's going to happen. And I think that if there's children involved and the long-term effects of it, if you can get together and work through those things, because just because you're divorced, you're not divorcing your children. So, and you're shaking your head,
Yes.
because we have to remind people of this. You know, when you're in that tug and the beginning stages of that, and the pull and the push, and, you know, the win, as I always say, nobody wins. But going through it, you think, well, he gets everything, she gets everything. We can circle back with that. But the overall view of the divorce, when we can get it to the point where we can get them to work, and sometimes I'm part of that, and just bringing it together, it's a much happier ending, and that puts a smile on your face.
Yes, it does. And yes, and you are often a part of it. Sometimes, you know, we need somebody who can come in and help, you know, talk to the parties on a level that's not a legal level.
Correct. And that's why I say, you know, it's funny, I was put up, there's some billboards around town now, and people are realizing that I'm surrounded, as I've always said, by teams of experts. And, you know, it's just not, and no offense, but, you know, you're not right for every case.
Right.
Accountants aren't right. You know, real estate agents. It's a matter of putting that match together where people can make these life-changing decisions together, and know the people that are supporting them and around them make it go forward. But in that context, I love the fact that you are very calm in that. But I think I can also admit to people that I've seen you in the courtroom, and I can see that you can have the horns that come out when it's needed.
Right. In fact, calm is the word I hear very often, that clients will say, you know, wow, you're so calm. And that's my job. My job is outside the courtroom to be the voice of reason, to be calm. And when I'm in the courtroom, all bets are off.
Right. And it was funny. I was sitting there with a client's parent one day in the courtroom, and I, you know, as I always say to clients, we can control our campground, but we can't always control the other side. And I was watching some things go on there, and I said, watch this, here goes the horns. And he looked at me and he said, she's very calm-mannered, and now I see the other side. But you needed to do the job, and I like when you said all bets are off.
Right, because you can't be in fight court mode at every moment in the case. If you do that, you're doing the client a disservice.
Right. And I think that that's true to you and who you are. And I think that's why it works so well when you get to that part of engagement with a client. So I'm going to Rob likes to do that over there where he's throwing the fingers at us all the time.
No, I was doing the break signal.
Oh, I only saw two fingers go up.
As in like you're breaking a twig.
I saw the fingers go up over there.
Okay.
All right.
Make sure you let the audience know.
What, that you didn't give me that finger?
I would never do that. Not in front of a great attorney like Carla.
All right. So I want to say, if you haven't...
That could incriminate me.
Yeah, that could. But
yes,
I want to say, and then we come back to commercial break. We'll open up the phone lines, and if anybody has any calls and they want to get to us, but I'm going to start addressing some of the comments and questions that had come in. And I get it, for the privacy, you know, effect, that we won't, I'm not disclosing anything, we'll just read them directly. Any questions, they can call in. Rob's going to open the phone, and I'm going to give you all the contact information when we get
And if
back.
I ever get married and divorced again, you've got the job. Because she has a calming influence about her, doesn't she?
Yeah.
It's nice. I just feel relaxed.
I could just FYI you on his
Okay,
past.
we'll be right back. She could retire. We'll be right back.
These are the people who make Pittsburgh work. This is Pittsburgh Works on the voice of Pittsburgh, KDKA.
All right, let's get right back to Nan Cohen, your host, divorce reality expert. Nan.
So it's interesting. I had somebody say that they sent me a message saying, well, I know the law changed and we're a year into it, and we filed, and how come I'm not divorced in a year? And I'm thinking to myself, you're asking me, wrong person. So can you just update anybody that's listening out there for the change?
Yes.
We had the year and where we stand now with it.
Well, the change took effect December 6, 2016. So anybody who's separated after December 6, 2016 is in the 1-year separation. If you separated prior to that, you're in the 2-year separation. But just because you've now maybe met your 1 year, it doesn't mean you're divorced. It just means that your case is ready for the equitable distribution or the asset division phase. People can consent to go into that phase sooner, but if one person wants to hold out, they have to wait out their year to get into that phase.
It's funny. People think magically things happen.
Correct.
And nobody understands what has to happen.
Nothing happens unless your attorney has it on their calendar.
Yeah, and that's the truth. You think it's filed and everything, that's just magically somehow these papers are going to end up in the right place, in the right position, and true to what they think, a year to the date, I'm going to be divorced. And as you just put it, that doesn't happen.
Doesn't ever happen that way.
So I know there was some news fluttering around. I got picked up a bunch of different news feeds. I know we were talking about it on KDKA yesterday. Custody. When you're looking at custody, there's an email that came in, a message that said, is it still true, even though that we're 2018, that fathers don't get their children? And nothing angers me more than that question, because I know there has to be something behind it. So I always like listening to the perspective of the attorneys when the question's asked. And quite often, the answers are pretty simplistic. So,
well, right now, 2018, plenty of dads get custody. And in most cases, we see 50-50 custody. Not in every case, but the standard in the law is best interest of the child. The law itself is gender neutral. So when people say, is it still true that dads don't get custody? It's been a long time since the law hasn't been gender neutral. But, you have the law and then you have the culture. And I think that even the law says best interest. And I think the culture has well caught up with that, so that it's hard to just walk in the courtroom, be the mom, and get custody. You got to really articulate a reason why it's not going to be 50-50.
But if you're going to let a mom walk into the courtroom, if that's where it's going, and ask for the custody, and you don't stand up and say you want custody, isn't that part of the problem?
Right. I think that the thing that hurts parents, sometimes dads, is they don't step up and they don't do the time. So if you're given time and you don't exercise the time, and then you say, well, I want more time, that the first thing's going to be, well, exercise the time that you have.
And I'm going to put a disclaimer on that, because just as often as I said that line, that the mom goes in, I've seen it where the father goes in and mom doesn't step up and ask
Absolutely.
for it. So I do want to say that, and I've been part of that arena, because I see plenty of dads, believe it or not, that they get full custody. And it's
happens.
not always for a negative reason. It could be, I had a mom maybe in the travel industry that's not always here. It doesn't mean that it's wrong, but they need to make out new custody arrangements, meaning visitation times, when it's applicable, when it's not. It was a temporary job, things change. But doing nothing is what sometimes gets people in the position where they say, I'm always going back and I'm never coming out with anything. Correct?
Correct. A lot of it is having skin in the game. I had a recent case of a client whose husband moved to Florida to be with somebody else and hasn't seen the kids since the summer, and comes into court and says, I want the kids for 3 weeks in the summer in Florida. And my argument was, he hasn't come to Pennsylvania once to see his kids. In fact, the weekend that he was there to go to court, we were in court on a Friday, he hadn't even asked to see his kids that weekend. So I said, how can he take his kids to Florida if he has no skin in the game? The court said, you got to come to Pennsylvania February, March, April, May, and then come back to court in June, and then we'll decide if you're going to see your kids in Florida. But you can't do nothing. And the order in place said, anytime he comes to Pennsylvania, he can see his kids. And not once did he come see them. So you gotta see your kids. If you want more time, you have to build on it.
Right. And I think that it's not just that one inquiry, but, in the case that you're talking about that's presented, there was more things to do than just end up and walking into a court and trying to file and get that visitation. Where have you been? What is the relationship? What has been behind it? Those things kind of creep up on you, and all of a sudden, you're going to put demands. Kids are in routines, and then to that position, do you really want somebody? And I love Kim Eaton for this, because when she comes on, she has said to me numerous times, she said, and I don't want to make those decisions in 15 minutes of meeting you.
Right.
You and the parents need to work on those things to get that achieved. There's 30 different ways that case that you just brought up could have worked out.
Absolutely. But we didn't have any contact with Dad till we got in the courtroom.
That's the ultimate situation. That's where it landed because of the beforehand. So, and those are the things that I think, if you're thinking about it, people say to me, there was a message that came in that said, I never really realized how, divorce affects everybody. And I said, yeah, take a look around you. Look in church. Look in the synagogue. Look at your workplace. Look at the school. It affects everybody.
Look at the street you live on.
it's you hit the nail on the head. You just never know. And people true to this don't know what goes on behind closed doors. And everybody doesn't need to air their dirty laundry. And when I say to you that it sometimes will have to inevitably happen, that the divorce is going to happen, you have options to make that go the other way.
Many, many options other than having it decided in the courtroom.
And that's pretty powerful, Rob. Wouldn't you agree when you hear an attorney saying that to you?
Well, because they understand the collateral damage that comes from that.
Well, they see it every day. I think I see it. I mean, I'm 24/7, 7 days a week with it. But you guys prepping for those things and the strain and the drain, financially, emotionally, it's exhausting.
Going to court is, for us, the attorneys, it's fun. I mean, that's what we train to do. I love to do it. But, you're paying for me to read every document in your case, synthesize it, craft my arguments, prep your witnesses, and go into a courtroom where there's no such thing as a slam dunk. And so there's high risk, and, judges have what I say is they have a cleaver. We can resolve your case with a scalpel. We can get that little, let's have the exchange at Starbucks, or whatever it is that you want that's important to you that you may not get from the judge. Again, we love going to court, and the client sees the inside of the courtroom. We sometimes settle the case that day because they look the judge right in the eyes and they realize, oh my God, this virtual stranger is going to decide where my children are going to live.
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I'll tell you, the reality set in for me last year, a case when prepping a client for a deposition, and was gung-ho to get into the courtroom to get her story out and let everybody understand it, and watching her go through that deposition prep for it drained her, and she said, I don't want to do this. And so that was the immediate reality for her. She said, let's get the other deal done, because the fight wasn't going to be in it. And listen, it takes a lot of work where you're sitting, where I'm sitting just getting somebody to that level, but they don't understand. It's draining.
It is, and the stress involved is draining. The stress of the unknown. You walk into a courtroom, you cease to have control over the outcome.
Well, and that's what I say to everybody. It's never a slam dunk. You just never know. And yet they think they're so validated by what their facts are. But a lot of times I realize they're one-sided facts.
Does it come down to the law or accusations and allegations?
It's always a combination. It's always a combination of the law and the facts, and how those facts apply to the law. You go to court, you'll hear two different stories, and it's the judge's job to sort of reconcile those stories, decide what they're going to believe and not going to believe, and then they have to apply the law.
Interesting. It's never a slam dunk. I hate to say it, but you get people that are so confident in their story, and I always say, thanks to my husband, perception becomes the reality on it, and that's all they know.
All right, listen, we're going to take a break here. We're going to come back in just a couple of moments with Nan Cohen, divorce reality expert. Stay with us.
These are the people who make Pittsburgh work. This is Pittsburgh Works on the voice of Pittsburgh, KDKA.
Okay, we are back, and we have a phone call coming in. We're going to get to Michelle in just a moment, but I do want all of you to know that you can join us today and talk about what we're discussing with divorce reality expert Nan Cohen and Carla Donnelly, who is here. She's an attorney that practices family law. The number to be on the program is 866-391-1020, 866-391-1020, or you can even reach us by texting us a message or going to Dollar Bank Instant Access, KDK.com. Let's say hi now to Michelle calling from Pittsburgh for Carla and Nan. Hey, good afternoon, Michelle. Welcome to News Radio 1020 KDKA.
Oh, thank you for taking my call. I have a question. I've been married, we live in the same house, but not living as husband and wife, if you follow me, for 39 years. I'm going to say not living as husband and wife for the past, say, 29 years at least, believe it or not. But my question is about money. He has some money. All the bank accounts are in his name, and we have one daughter. Our daughter's name. My name is on nothing. He wants me to have nothing. We run a business. I don't get a paycheck. He tells me the roof over my head is my paycheck. I've been doing this business with him for, 25 years out of the 39 married. I don't know how that works. Can I sue him for all the years I'm not getting a paycheck? And is it legal to not have my name on nothing? I'm on the house. The house is paid for now. But he tried to get my name taken off the house, believe it or not, and found out he couldn't do it. He wanted to put our daughter's name on the house, on the deed. Where do I go with this?
So here's a home run, Michelle. I hear this all the time, and I always revert back to my experts on this. How often do we hear, because my name isn't on it, they think they're not entitled to it?
All the time.
So, Michelle, listen up to this. Go ahead, Carla.
If it's earned during the marriage, it's marital property. Title does not control. Title only controls if it's an asset you brought into the marriage. And even if it is an asset in one party's name brought into the marriage, the appreciation of that asset during the marriage is also marital. So the fact that assets are not in your name doesn't control whether it's marital property subject to division by the court.
Okay, so the court would actually decide, though, right? I mean, it's our daughter's name is actually on it. I mean, if he must trust her because she could go and clean him out. Now, here's my thought. I know him. If he were to get his divorce papers, he would probably tell our daughter to put everything just in her name. How does that work?
Well, we would look back at what was done at the time of the separation. It's the oldest trick in the book to take assets and take them outside of the names of the parties. It's called dissipation. That's not allowed. So we can still capture those assets. But it sounds like you need to sit down with an attorney to go over the specifics of your case, to go over those details and come up with a plan of action. But all is not lost.
The monster, believe me. I wrote your name and number down. I'm going to give you a call on Monday. But we are up against a monster. I need somebody that can handle a monster, and I mean it. He's terrible.
Go up against lots of monsters and all other sorts of people, but, you have the law on your side. So give me a call. We'll talk about it more.
So, Michelle, this is the truth of this is we hear this all the time. And I am telling you, I'm astounded how people believe what that spouse was saying, who's no longer really in your life, but thinks they have the control. There you go. The roof over your head. That's great, but there's a whole lot more there, I'm sure. And people walk away, and that's what they take away, and they believe in that. So I'm going to bring this back to, I see there's another call coming in, but I want to get to this. You've got to be educated.
That was what I was about to say. If you don't know your rights, you will sit there paralyzed and suffer unnecessarily. If you know your rights, you know that there are options.
And as true as what we're telling you here, this is, it angers me. It's like running through my veins right now that Michelle, poor Michelle, sitting here believing this. And if he does this and he does that, he has no idea what could come his way. And that's where I think the horns come out, because we play nice. But when you're going to try to move things and hide things, you're not hiding them. We've got people that we can bring in. Carla, you talk about forensic accounting. He has the business. Maybe we want to look at it. He thinks what he's doing is okay. But guess what? There's where the law is going to come.
Right, and her not getting a paycheck really hasn't mattered, right? Because it means he's getting more, but it's all still marital property.
And again, I can't stress enough. I say it all week, all day, all month. You've got to get educated and then make your decisions about what you want to do. So I strongly, she hit a home run for us because she got us revved up on it. But please believe, Michelle, get yourself educated on it. Let me give you the contact information. You can always find Carla in Pittsburgh, and they can get you to Cranberry, whichever office you want to go. Should I give them the Pittsburgh number?
It's the same phone number either way.
412-261-9900. It's 412-261-9900. Amazing, right? We sit in 2018, and somebody thinks they have that kind of control.
It breaks my heart that people are intimidated so much that they don't even make the call.
Well, look, she heard, she listened.
Good for her.
Yeah, that's the first step. You hear this quite often on your side.
All the time.
And I want to say it's just not from a female's perspective either, correct?
Correct. I think there are different types of intimidations, but everything's in my name, you'll get nothing, or I'll go away, I'll take the kids, all sorts of things that I hear. And then my job is to dispel the threats and make the reality.
Yeah, and it comes from all types of professions and family businesses and everything else. And I say, it's okay. I understand you're not going to come out of that with everything.
Right, but getting a lawyer levels the playing field. In your house, it sounds like the playing field is not level. And when a lawyer steps in, level playing field.
Right. And I'm telling you, walk away when people get the education, they feel empowered. And at that point, then I know you've made your good decision. Educated, you know what you need to do.
And if you get educated and you decide to stay, at least you can feel like you made the right decision.
Right. And time frames are on the clients. It's not on always the attorney's, mine, anybody else is involved. It's on the client's time frame. So I always like to bring that up. You have some other topics you wanted to hit on too.
Well, I wanted to talk about a question that I get a lot is, how do I know that I have a good attorney?
There you go.
And as Gary Gentile used to say, the clients sometimes don't know whether they have a good attorney. And we see that on the other side when we see an attorney who's maybe not doing what's in their client's best interest and the client doesn't know it. I always say to my clients, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to tell you what you want to hear. I'm going to tell you what you have to hear. If an attorney tells you everything you want to hear, that's probably not a good attorney for you.
I agree. You couldn't have said it any better. Let's take another call.
All right, let's go to Jim in Pittsburgh for Carla and Nan. This, of course, News Radio 1020, KDKA. Good afternoon.
Hey, good afternoon, Rob. Good afternoon, Carla. I'm a brand new client, only 2 weeks, and I just wanted to tell you, after the one meeting, I already feel comfortable with you. So just wanted to say that.
Aw, that was so
that's so
nice.
Sweet.
That was so nice.
I did call for you yesterday, so
I got the message. Yes.
Yes.
We're setting up my secretary's going to call you Monday morning to set up a call.
Okay, great.
Good.
So you got a good one there with you, Rob. Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
You too.
Bye-bye.
You know what?
We're
Listen,
making you twitch, huh?
I don't have no divorce attorney with me on record at this point in time. What time of day is it anyway? But let me just say this. You know what I noticed in the last couple of calls? And I was blessed to be married as long as I was, but some of these people have been married for decades.
Yeah.
That's kind of sad, too, that they were in it for that long and there was no give and take. I mean, it's almost a blessing that they finally have come to the realization that maybe there is life after this lifelong struggle. And for a number of reasons, maybe not nowhere near as bad as Michelle's situation, but maybe they can both find love now.
I see it all the time. I have people who come in, they'll say they'll never get married again, and often they do. And then I do their prenup.
Well, it's you're laughing over there. Listen,
I find it fascinating. I do. But I'm just glad that I'm on the outside looking in, and I'll just stay right here.
Yeah, well, we're working on that.
We're working on that off it's
air.
Nice, though, that she looks at it this way, though, and she has this much passion for what she does, and that's just nice to see.
Yeah, I mean, you look at it that, sometimes you need the reminder. I mean, why do you want to live that way? It's not happy. It's not conducive. And, again, as well as I do, it's a lot more than just the attorney Nan piece to it. When you get involved, sometimes there's some therapy that's needed. I got you taken care of there. Sometimes it's got to be, bringing in the accountants, bringing in the credit repair people, you name it. Buying a house. I've got experts that just work on people that are coming out, that haven't owned a home, don't know how to purchase the home, don't even know where they want to be. We take it all over there for you. The mortgage brokers. We get into, food service. People, you said to me, Nan, I know you can't solve this. They were together. They want that family meal sitting down every night, and they don't want to be out and about, not in fast food places and restaurants every night. They believe it's the common goal to get that family to sit down together and eat. Caterers delivering food to their house, freezing it, cooking for a month, you name it. We can take care of it. But again, the biggest part of it is you've got to get yourself the right team that supports you in the pieces that you need put in place when you're navigating this.
All right, let's take this break and we'll come back and wrap up the program today. But a lot of insightful information, and the best way to get a hold of Carla is
412-261-9900.
261-9900. We'll be back.
This is Pittsburgh Works on the voice of Pittsburgh, KDKA.
All right, one more segment with Nan and Carla. And again, if you have a question, you want to get some Great family law information from truly a great attorney at what she does. Very compassionate, on top of things, can understand you from the law standpoint of what will work for you. Call us at 866-391-1020. You can call right now. All of our lines are open. Nan?
When it comes to divorce, I was thinking to myself, Rob said, whatever you want. When it comes to divorce, I like to take the fear out of it. I don't think that it should be, don't look as a walk in the park. I always tend to hope that, let's see if we can't save the marriage versus ending the marriage. And I said earlier, inevitably it's going to happen. But I think they can gain the strength through putting finale to things and living in limbo with this. The most important day in anybody's life is right now, today. So I look at it that if it's not good and you can't make it whole and healthy, if you've got the kids in the house and it's not working and they're seeing the unhappiness, the sadness of the bickering, the arguing, the this, the that, sometimes there's no discussion, and that's not good. You got to get on. You got to move on with life, because life keeps going. It just doesn't stop for you. It doesn't stop for them. But for the others around you, you got to keep it going. And I think bringing those people, and it's scary, Carla, when you bring in a lawyer in, here's the attorney. Everybody's fearful of that. We're blessed here in the city. We've got fabulous people in place to put things into perspective and carry them onward. So I'd like to get your perspective on that, because you see this as much as I do.
Well, I only see people once they've seen an attorney, obviously, but my job is to be the calming effect, because I know how nervous people are. People are nervous when they call, when they talk to my wonderful assistant, Tara. They're nervous. When they come in, they're nervous. And what I love is at the end of the meeting, they always come out feeling better, because they have all these fears. They probably haven't gotten any sleep the night before because they've had so many fears swirling around their head. And just like we just talked to Michelle earlier, in just a few sentences, sometimes we can allay those concerns. And those are the moments where I feel like I'm glad I do what I do.
And, for me, when I step out and I have to say to somebody, we've got to go sit down with an attorney. We've got to put this into perspective with you. What you don't see is when we walk outside the door. We closed your office door and we're standing in that hallway. And I'm telling you, it's empowering. Sometimes it's happy, sometimes it's sad, sometimes it's a mixed emotion of everything running through somebody's veins. But they know that they've got people in place that are going to take them forward to wherever that is. And again, the timeline, you say it quite often. You say, I meet somebody and I'll hear from them for, they go down. They're struggling, thinking, should I try to save it? Sometimes I call you and I say, hey, we're going to try to work this out another way. And you're always good with that, But if you need me, you always say, I'll be here.
Absolutely. I'll have a client come in. We'll talk about their rights. And it could be a year before they call back and say, I want to come in. And I don't take anything away from the fact that they've taken a year to work out what they want to do, what direction they want to go in. And I'm still here, and I will be happy to meet with them. And sometimes when they come in a year later, they're so much more at peace, because they've taken the information I've given them, they've lived their life without that fear, and now they've come in and come at the decision from a much better place.
Very good stuff. I love the way you put the perspective on it. One question that came up twice since we put up the social media piece was data separation. That's confusing for everybody. And I know I want to get this in because I promised that I would bring up separation, and I want to just address it. People walk around, they think they're legally separated. People think that separation happens by osmosis. So it's coming from you now. Go ahead and give them the direction of it.
And to Rob's point, are we talking about the law? Are we talking about the facts? The date of separation, there's law, but then you have to take the facts. So the law is separate lives, not separate roofs. So you can be separated in the same house, and in some cases you can be in separate houses but not separated. You are separated when somebody is put on notice that there is going to be a separation and or a divorce. You can't be separated and not know it. You have to have been put on notice. So if your spouse moves out, that may have been your notice. What I tell people is if they want to have a definitive date of separation, to send an email, to send a letter, have me send a letter, send a text message that says, I am putting you on notice that we are separated. That's pretty definitive. We actually have trials over date of separation. I've seen dates of separation be 10 years or more apart in the different parties' perspectives because one person feels like they were screaming it from the rooftops and the other person didn't feel like they got the notice. And that's where we have the law, and that's where then the judge has to consider the facts.
Does a text message stand up in court as a document?
It's notice. It's notice. Now you have to keep it.
Right.
You have to, I would suggest taking a screenshot, printing it, and you don't need the other person to agree. The other person can write back and say, no, we're not, but they've been put on notice.
It's interesting. And
you don't have to get it notarized or anything?
No.
Wow.
No, I mean, you just have to prove that you inform the other person. You just can't be, living your life and then your spouse says, oh, I decided 2 years ago I wasn't married. That's not a separation. You have to know that you're separated.
And to that point, there's strategic ways and things that go on when somebody sends you that notice. You need to react to it because if there's businesses involved, if there's retirement going to happen, if, these things have to be put in place. Don't ignore it.
Absolutely don't ignore it because it's not just are we separated? The question is then what does that separation mean? And that's the second part of the question where, everything you earn after the date of separation that was earned with your sweat and toil during the marriage is everything you earn after that is your separate property. Now, if you receive money after the separation that you earned while you were married, it's probably not separate property. But that's where you need a lawyer to come in and slice and dice what's separate, what's not.
And it's not a one-sided piece either, as people want to say. Just like somebody tells you, we've been separated. Well, there's more that goes to that than just your word. And for people that are in long-term, sometimes it costs them on the financial aspect, correct?
Absolutely. There could be a tremendous swing in the finances of a case depending on when that date of separation is. And that's why we go to trial over the date of separation, because if we want to say all these assets are separate property because we were separated years ago, or we want to say, no, those assets are in the bucket that's getting divided because we just separated when you file for divorce. So that there can be some cases very little financial impact, and sometimes we duke it out over date of separation, and then we have to step back and say, hey, wait a second, there's not much of a financial difference.
It gets a little bit more than what just the general person.
See if I can remember this number, and that'll tell you whether or not I was paying attention. I have no notes in front of me. So 412-261-9900.
Absolutely.
Yeah, he
Good
must
job.
like you.
Yeah.
Well, I just have respect. I would love my daughter, who's 16, to grow up to do something like she has done. And tell the folks who your daughter went. One of my all-time favorites for Halloween. This is a great story.
My daughter, who's 7, decided that she wanted to be Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor.
God bless her.
Yeah.
Halloween.
Isn't that great?
She read her children's book and decided that she was inspired, and she didn't want to be one of the descendants or Kitty Cat. She wanted to be Justice Sonia Sotomayor.
Let's get that. We should get that picture up of her because she did a really good
Sotomayor.
job. Can you give your website real quick?
GHA-lawfirm.com.
And I want to say, this is what I do. I bring these people into your lives. If you're thinking or you have questions and you need to reach out, always reach out to me. You can always find me at 412-996-3346 and check on the web at divorcerealityexpert.com.
That'll do it. Ladies and gentlemen, enjoy the rest of your day. And in the meantime, stay tuned for CBS Radio News coming up next.
Thank you, Carla.
Thank you, Nan.
Thank you. No, thank you.
These are the people, the movers and the shakers, the businesses, the people you know in your community who make Pittsburgh work. This is Pittsburgh Works on the voice of Pittsburgh. News Radio 1020 KDKA.
Carla Donnelly is here. She's an incredible attorney of law, and when it comes to divorce, she knows the law and knows waters can be very difficult to navigate at times, but Nan Cohen is a great navigator, and some of the people that work with her, as she is a divorce reality expert, make it so much more easier to get a very difficult job done. And I know if you have any questions out there and you'd like to call and talk to Carla or Nan, the number is 866-391-1020, Dollar Bank Instant Access, KDKA.com. And now here she is, your host, divorce reality expert. I've never been the expert in anything, so it's nice to have an expert on the program, Nan Cohen. Good afternoon.
Can you repeat that one more time?
No, please.
Backtrack on that one.
No.
Backtrack on that one.
You know, I'm kind of like breakfast now, toast.
Toast?
It's been a long day.
Well, I'm going to liven you up in the studio very shortly.
All right.
We've got some special treats for you. You know, it's funny. Talking about divorce, I put up, I think you hit up on social media as well. Carla's in the house with me today, but divorce. And then all of a sudden I got inundated with all of these questions. It's like, I have everything from rules and laws and do I do this and do I do that? And I'm like, I just got to take a break. I had to walk away. And I'm thinking, okay, I got it all on my phone for you. So you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Yeah, let's move you in a little bit closer to that mic. And let's tell everybody where you're from. We work a lot together.
Well, I'm from the law firm of Gentile, Horaho, and Avali. We're in downtown and Cranberry.
And I might say that's a very nice part of town, too, I might add.
You like it up there in Cranberry, don't you?
I love Cranberry.
I knew you were going to stop on that for a minute.
Oh, my goodness. I didn't stop.
Well, you stopped a lot of times when I was up there in my earlier years, huh, Robbie?
Okay, let's get back to Carla.
But you go both places, downtown and Cranberry.
Absolutely, absolutely. And the clients love the Cranberry office because the parking is free.
Yeah, that's a big thing coming downtown anymore, I'll tell you. Or you have to have friends in parking lots is what I always say when I'm heading down there. But you're originally from, I get this all the time, New York.
Correct.
To Atlanta.
Correct.
And then we were blessed here in Pittsburgh.
Absolutely.
So take us a little bit about the history and how you got into family law.
Well, I went to Emory Law School after going to Lehigh University in Bethlehem, PA. And so that took me down to Atlanta. And when I graduated, I found this amazing law firm in Atlanta to practice with, Stern and Edlin. They're, I would say, the top family law firm in Atlanta, and worked there for 12 years. But my husband and I, after we had our daughter, decided we needed to move closer to family. Married a guy from Pennsylvania. And so we pulled up shop and moved to Pittsburgh. And I was so fortunate because I had come from such a great firm in Atlanta to find the equivalent here in Pittsburgh.
So I just want to say I was totally off on my earpiece there. But when you got to Pittsburgh, you're thinking, I'm home now, huh?
I love it here.
It's welcome home because it's interesting. Once we get you here, we don't let you go. You know that.
I'm never leaving. So it works out perfectly.
And I actually was asked through Messenger on Facebook, you go to the counties, surrounding counties.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's a big question for people now.
We go as far as, Center, Cambria, Clearfield. I've had a case as north as Erie. Do quite a bit in Mercer and Lawrence. Butler is pretty much the same as Allegheny County. We're in Cranberry, so we go to Washington, Westmoreland.
Yeah.
So wherever the client